Mashonisa will only borrow you money twice. The third time, he is borrowing you your own money. Mashonisa is a dwarf, a short demon. But the church is not aware and the people of God are not aware that Mashonisa is a demon and he needs to be cast out. You know, I also didn't know up until this person came to me and said, please pray for me because every month I find myself knocking on the door of Mashonisa without failure. Even though I told myself countless times that I am never going back there. I prayed for that person, and at night when I was sleeping, and the visions of God appeared in front of me, I saw that person getting paid month end. On their way home, there were small boys, short dwarfish boys, waiting for that person on the corner. When that person was passing, those small boys were putting their hands inside of that person's pockets, and I came and I kicked those boys. That month was the first month when that person had the nerve to say, no, I am not going to Mashonisa. Because you will not be able to get out of that cycle unless if you have a strong willpower or you have a man of God who will come and free you from that demon of Mashonisa, that dwarfish demon. You know, Mashonisa will borrow you 100 rand and say, I want it back as 150. First month, second month. On the third month, that 100 rand is your own money. He is borrowing you your own money. And you are not even aware. And you won't even go to church and tell the pastor to say, I am struggling in this cycle. I am not able to get out. Because you do not think that that thing is a demon. But Mashonisa is a demon. Proverbs 22 verse 7. The rich rule over the poor. And the borrower is a slave to the lender. Once you go to Mashonisa, you become the slave of Mashonisa. You know, that person says to me, whenever I would go to Mashonisa, when Mashonisa sees me, he would smile with a naughty smile. Because this person knows that you don't even afford to pay him back, but he will keep on borrowing you to a point where you cannot even pay back. And when you can't pay back, he says, don't worry, I'm a good money lender. I will borrow you against your own assets. You will start giving Mashonisa your things piece by piece. He will take your phone. He will take your bank card. He will take your car at a very cheap price if you are not aware. Because you are not dealing with a person. You are dealing with a dwarfish demon, a short demon called Mashonisa. Mashonisa is just like Nyaupe. It doesn't matter how difficult it is or how broke you are. Don't go and knock on the door of Mashonisa because you are consulting a demon. Exodus 22, verse 25. If you lend money to any of my people with you, who is poor, you shall not be like a money lender, and you shall not exact interest from him. You shall not be like Mashonisa. God does not allow you to enslave other children of God because he knows that this game is a dirty game. People who go to Mashonisa, they find themselves there forever. People died still owing Mashonisa. That's why Senyaka was singing a song, Romeo and Kolota, because Romeo was owing him and he died without paying him. Be careful of going to Mashonisa. Deuteronomy 23, verse 20. You may charge a foreigner interest, but you may not charge your brother, that the Lord your God may bless you in all that you undertake in the land you are entering to take possession of. You may charge a foreigner. The person who's going to Mashonisa, who's going to be charged interest, is a foreigner, not a fellow Israelite. That's why God doesn't want us to do this thing of lending money to our brothers and sisters because he knows that it is slavery. You are enslaving your own people when you are borrowing them money and say, please pay me back and at interest. Next thing, you are borrowing them their own money. And Mashonisa is so cruel because he uses very bad tactics. When he wants to take money from you, he sends you threats. He sends you boys that will come and threaten you. Some, they will go to an extent of beating you down. And Mashonisa does not look at your life. Even when he sees that you are poor and you are not working, he will borrow you money, knowing very well that he has his ways of taking the money from you. Whatever you do, no matter how hard life gets, rather stay hungry than go and knock on the door of Mashonisa because you will be enslaved. Women have found themselves sleeping with Mashonisa to pay them back because Mashonisa is a cruel money lender. Be careful of that person because he is not under the law. And he doesn't care whether you will be able to pay the money back or not because he knows that he has a cruel heart and he will deal with you the way he pleases. Stay away from Mashonisa. Our nation is dying because of that thing, because it is a nyaupe that needs to be cast out by the church. Men of God, it's about time that you pray for your people to get out of debt. South Africa is in debt. That's why we are not able to negotiate. Whenever you are in debt and you owe the person, you are a slave to that person, and that person will do whatever they please with you. That's why we owe the banks. That's why we owe the shops. That's why we owe each and every institution, be it education, be it anything. Black South Africans are owing. And we need to get out of that debt because that debt does not enable us to negotiate. Our presidents, when they go on in parliament and they say they want to campaign, they borrow money. They are enslaved by Mashonisa. That's why they are doing things that Mashonisa is requesting, because they are a slave to the money lender. When you open a political party and you don't have money to fund it, Mashonisa will come and say, I will give you money to fund your own party. Once you take that money, you will forever be indebted to Mashonisa. You will owe that Mashonisa and you will demand ridiculous things that will enslave your own people. Stay away from Mashonisa. Send this message to everyone. Be it a person in parliament, be it a person who wants to start a business, be it anyone who wants to borrow money from someone. Be careful of Mashonisa. Rather borrow money from your own people without interest. Leave my people, says God. Leave the children of God, says the God of Israel. Leave the children of God alone. Mashonisa, take your hands off South Africa. Khotso, ayibelele na.